Hi, my name is Natalie Moazes, and I'm a proud survivor of stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a form of cancer. And I'm here to share the amazing story of how Moshe Brantz and his son Inon helped me recover, and I consider them to be my angels because they've been there for me through health, but especially through sickness. And I'd like to go back to probably the most significant time of my life, which was May 2006, where my symptoms first began occurring. And at that point, my doctor had misdiagnosed me with bronchitis, and therefore I had lived for the next 8 months with this in my body, to the point where when I came back, I was basically anemic and I was coughing unbelievably, and nobody could understand what's going on. And when I took my first x-ray, I had a 5-centimeter tumor in my chest. So I was admitted to the hospital in March of 2007, but by the time I had gotten there, I was already gone. I used to wake up with night sweats every morning, and I had a fever of 103, and I couldn't even walk around at that point. So by the time I had gotten out of there, I had 2 very evasive biopsies, one through my throat and one through the side of my chest, and another bone marrow biopsy, many CAT scans, many x-rays, many hundreds of blood tests. And as soon as I got out there, I didn't even have a chance to gather my thoughts or anything. I was told that 2 days later I would have to immediately begin my chemo, because if not, the cancer being stage 4, which is the worst stage of any kind of cancer, it was very near my liver, and which was very dangerous, because then it would go through my system and probably kill me instantly. So everything was very back to back, and we were being bombed with bad news one after another. And literally, as soon as I started chemo and my family and I had a chance to breathe and to collect our thoughts, the first name that came into our mind without a doubt, without any hesitation, was Moshe. Especially given the fact that my family is very familiar with his work, and we know the miracles that he has accomplished with his clients in the past, I don't know how many decades. And within no time, literally within the first week that I had even begun my chemo, I started visiting Moshe about 2 times a week on average, sometimes 3. And at this point, I want to clarify that I had a tumor along my collarbone, and lymphoma is cancer of the lymph nodes, which means that I had 2 tumors under my armpits, 2 in my neck, and 2 in my pelvic region, and the 1 5-centimeter tumor in my rib cage, which makes a total of 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 tumors. And literally less than 2 weeks after I had begun to see Moshe, the one in my neck had disappeared, which is unbelievable, and it was very unexpected. But what I really want everybody to know is that 2 months after I was even admitted into the hospital, basically a month and a half after I even started chemo, May 2007, I took my first PET scan, which is actually just a practice procedural PET scan, and I did not have a single trace of cancer left in my body. And what's great about that is that my doctor, who is by far one of the best in his field and has over 30 years of experience and has worked with thousands of people just like me, did not approve of any form of alternative medications and didn't want me to do anything without his consent and this and that. But when we were in the office with him, and he just couldn't understand why and how a person who had stage 4 just 2 months earlier did not have a trace left in their body. And at that point, I asked him if it was common, and he said, unfortunately, I wish I could say it was, but it's really not. And he was so surprised. And at that point, I looked over at my mom and I smiled at her, and she just was laughing because me and her knew about Moshe, and we knew what the reason was, because a lot of people would say that, oh, well, maybe your chemo was good, but everybody knows that chemo has its own place and it can only do so much. But what happened to me is outside of the textbooks. This is something that is rare and many would say is unexplainable, but I'm here to say that there is an explanation, and he is the explanation. And he is the reason why I had an unspoken amount of energy. Even when I would walk into the chemotherapy hospital, everybody would ask me how I'm always in such a good mood, and why I was always feeling so happy and so energized, to the point that even 5 days after I completed my treatment, I was back in the gym, even if it was just lifting 1 pound weights, even whatever the case may be. I was back in school the day after I had surgery. I mean, anyone who knows people who have cancer, it's very unfortunate, but this is not something that you commonly hear. And I'm very proud and very, very, very honored to know this man, and to say that I was able to experience a miracle like this, and to sit here now with my hair growing out and my eyelashes back, and back into, I don't even want to say back to myself, because who I am today is 50 million times happier, stronger, and healthier than I ever was in my past. Even when my hair was long, it doesn't mean anything, because I can tell now. And I just want everybody to know that I do appreciate my doctors and my chemo, but that was less than half the battle. And I personally, Natalie Moazes, thank Moshe Brantz for everything that he's done, and for his devotion and his commitment. He doesn't treat you like clients. It's personal to him, and he goes 150% every time. And I just want to thank him and thank everybody for watching.
My name is Dr. Daniel Levitan. I practice in the San Fernando Valley outside of Los Angeles. And I'd like to share with you a story about Moshe Brantz, who somehow is able to help people with medical problems and other problems. I witnessed an interesting case at my home. There happened to be a party, and there were many children, teenagers, as well as adults. And there were two athletes here, both basketball players, very tall, very athletic. And we noticed that one of the gentlemen had a hard time moving his neck. He was very stiff and he had rigid movements. He had trouble walking. And we spoke to this man, not really knowing what was going to happen. And he shared with us that for 3 years he was seeing doctors. He had x-rays, he was taking medications, and his neck remained very stiff. He had some problem apparently with his cervical spine, and he just could not move in a normal manner. When he walked, he was very rigid. Mr. Brantz offered to see if he could help him, and Mr. Brantz took a chair so that he could be at the same height as this gentleman, since this athlete was very tall. And to make a long story short, the gentleman was able to move his neck and to walk, and his muscles were no longer rigid. And Mr. Brantz put his hands several inches away from this man's body, and the gentleman states that he was able to feel waves of heat. And apparently the heat waves did something to loosen up this man's muscle and to decrease the muscle rigidity. I've also seen other times where Mr. Brantz has done things where he's been able to generate heat waves. So I cannot explain it, but I am a witness that this event occurred, that this athlete was unable to move freely, to move his neck freely, but after having the heat treatment, he definitely improved. Thank you very much.